Hello everyone, this is Timothy Mark with Alexandria.
How's everybody doing today?
And that was the theme song by Ryan Daughtery for our podcast show, Tickle Trunk of Horrors. We are Tickle Trunk of Horrors. And today we're going to have a special guest on the show that's actually a psychic. And so we're going to have some good questions for her. And but before we get into that, let's go through the regular spiel, which would be, we are also known as World Paranormal Research Society. Now, we've done a lot of paranormal investigations. We participated in exorcism, things of that nature. A lot of people listen to the show. They may not be aware of that, but if you scroll down, if you go to our YouTube channel and scroll down past all the podcast stuff, you'll see some of the older investigations on there. If you know somebody that wants a paranormal investigation done, a ruin reading done, or an exorcism performed, or just even a house cleansing, you can contact us at World Paranormal Research Society at gmail.com. If you have any question about any of our Tickle Trunk of Horrors podcast shows, or you want to be a guest or refer a guest, or you want to be a call-in to one of our future live shows, any questions at all, you can contact us at tickletrunkofhorrors at gmail.com. And so I'll probably put a link to both those emails in the description. But anyway, so for those of you that's been living in the Texas area, you'll probably realize that we've been hit with a lot of severe thunderstorms and rains. And there was a RV park in Junction, Texas that actually got wiped completely out. And we did know some people that were living there. I don't know if they were still living there at the time that it got hit or not, but they got completely wiped out, the RV park there. And to my knowledge, 4 people were missing. I don't know if they still missing or been found, but yeah. So okay, so psychic mediums. I do not understand the whole psychic thing myself. And so when we have guests on that are psychics, you know, I ask questions to try to help myself understand and hopefully help you better understand what a psychic is and just what they can do. But there is these people out there like James Randi, who's all over YouTube, or was all over YouTube and the news, and Johnny Carson back in the days and stuff like that. You can see all that stuff on YouTube today, where he goes on there and basically does similar stuff, but he says he's no psychic. He says it's all just a matter of psychology. But there is people out there who claim to have these gifts, and you know, if you look at the mediums out there, there's definitely mediums that are gifted, and you can't dispute those things. Psychics, there's some psychics that predict things that you cannot dispute either. And so our guest lives in Florida.
Yes, her name is Traci, psychic medium, and she's a professional psychic medium. She has been for the last 28 years, and she's also a Reiki Master and a Teacher. So looking forward to speaking to Traci in just a few minutes. And as Timothy had mentioned a short time ago, yes, we've been battling extreme weather here, and we had a massive storm on Saturday, where I was always commenting on the place where we're sort of temporary staying here, is that there was an old tree that was, you know, it was dead, but it was an old tree, a couple 100 years old, and I always commented it would be nice to do photo shoots or anything by that old tree. And there was a lot of lightning happening on Saturday. Lo and behold, when I went out on Sunday to walk the dog, that tree was just snapped in half. I'm assuming by lightning, because based on what the base of the tree is, it was a couple 100 years old. So sort of sad to see that go at that particular time. And you know, that's how things in nature goes, and that's why we should all enjoy ourselves, because we don't know when our last second will be. So, I mean, live for the moment and don't harbor any animosity. And we know a lot of people in the paranormal field, psychics, medium, everybody falls under that umbrella, are not working with spirit in the right way. And they are very not willing to help their fellow paranormal researcher, psychic, or medium, and they're almost like a hoarder and not working with spirit the proper way. And it's a shame, because these individuals shed a bad light on all of us that are truly working with spirit for the right reasons. There's a lot of competition, a lot of resentment. I went through that myself.
Well, I think it's just a lot of people don't understand like what that gift is, or that ability is. Plus you have a lot of people that are frauds out there in the world, and they prey on people that are just looking for answers, and so that gives true psychics a bad name.
And what I was trying to, without revealing any names or anything, is that, you know, we were supposed to be on a show in October as paranormal researchers, and you know, finding out that that wasn't the case, and this particular individual, for whatever reason, was not being upfront and forthworthy and trustworthy. They just decided to add some other paranormal researchers that were not maybe well known.
I think it maybe is because it's more of a jealousy thing, or they may view things as more of a competition. And so, but really when it comes down to it, everybody in the paranormal field should accept everybody in the paranormal field if they're true paranormal researchers and not hobby ghost hunters.
Yeah, but we know in the real world it doesn't work like this, and this is a prime example of,
well, like I mean, we got invited to do the podcast show, and then after we did the Daiquiri Stoker interview, which this person's having Daiquiri Stoker on, after we did that interview, all of a sudden, bam, they felt some type of way about it, and they didn't want us to be on their show no more, which is fine. It's completely fine with me. But this lady right here, Traci Dicaprio, we're going to give her a call right now, actually, and she is a psychic that
and she also does FairyWing Readings. So I'm kind of interested and intrigued on her business card where it says FairyWing Readings. So hold on, folks, this is going to be really interesting.
Let's go ahead and give her a call right now.
Hello.
Hello, is this Traci?
This is Tracy.
Hey Traci, how you doing? This is Timothy Mark with Alexandria from the Tickle Trunk of Horrors show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. We're just caught in what should be, I feel like we're in Florida ourselves with all this weather we're getting here. I feel like we're in the middle of a hurricane, and we're in Texas.
It's real hot here. No hurricane. It's just hot.
Oh, wow.
We're begging for some of y'all's rain. Trust me.
Yeah. So you must have missed that hurricane that just hit over there, huh?
Yep, I'm on the other side. Unfortunately, I have friends on that side that didn't fare out too well.
Okay. So we have a few questions for you, because about what you do and stuff like that, and a lot of our audience does not understand like what people that have psychic abilities, like exactly what that is. And can you kind of explain that for us?
Sure. Ever since I was a little girl, I've been able to see and hear things that other people couldn't. When I was really young, I didn't understand that they could not hear or see it either. So I was kind of a really spooky kid to be around. But basically, I would see spirit coming through my room. I would know that they were not people that were alive. And they would walk through my room. I would communicate with them. I was never afraid of them. A lot of times they made me laugh. One of the biggest times I remember, my great-grandmother, she had passed away, and I asked my mom why everyone was so upset. And she said, well, you know, your grandmother, she's passed away. And I said, where? She's right there in the chair. You know, my mom's like, don't ever say that again. Basically, it's kind of always having an inside knowledge into things that not everybody wants you to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And, you know, I kind of, as soon as you made that statement saying that your mother had said that, isn't that true? Because I'm an empath myself, and I remember that kind of sparked a memory for me. I remember my mother, I would bring things up to her, because as a small child, I could see things too. I would communicate. It went way beyond an imaginary friend, and my parents would always say, you know, shh, you're not really seeing this. So it was a lot of trying to downplay or not acknowledge what was going on. And then later on in life, my mom was to tell me that, well, there's various family members that have similar abilities. And it's a very hard way for me, you may elaborate on this, a very hard way to grow up when somebody is always trying to maybe downplay. Is that a word to use? I'm not sure.
Yes, and it is. It's a very hard way to grow up. I was very fortunate. My grandmother, on my father's side, she had what she called the family secret. She could read people. She had intuition. She followed it, but it was never spoke of. I was raised in a Pentecostal family, which made it a little bit, to me, it made it a lot harder. Not a little bit harder, but a lot harder.
Right.
But at least I had her to lean on, because she would be like, you know, Tracy, you're really hearing it, or they're really there. She encouraged me to explore. We used to play card games all the time, and she'd do the higher or lower, or is this a, you know, what's the suit? And then she got, like, I feel like she really developed my abilities as a psychic behind closed doors.
Well, yeah, at least you had somebody that could give you, sort of boost you up and keep you elevated to say, you know what, yeah, you're not going crazy. This is really happening. You had sort of that getaway to be able to lean on her.
Right, and I do work with kids and teens that are experiencing abilities, because I know what they went through. They need one person to believe them, because they're having, to me, I tell everybody, it's a gift and a curse. It's a gift in the fact that I can help people, and it's a curse that I see so much negativity at times with people as well.
Can I ask you this question? It's I know when you said that your psychic abilities allows you to see the spirits and things of that nature, does it also allow you to see it all into the future?
I do see into the future. When I'm working with someone, I can see things that are coming up. I always remind them, though, like really bad things. There's not a book that says, you know, Tracy's going to do this on this day and this is going to happen. But psychically, if I see on this day, you know, you might get into a car accident, I can kind of forewarn, and that may not happen. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
I know you referred back to your childhood and seeing your grandma in the chair after she passed away. But prior to that, or even after that, what would have been your most terrifying experience with the paranormal?
My most terrifying experience with the paranormal. Oh, there's a couple. The first one is I lost my son, and he died of SIDS, and I felt that the lady that lived in the house, which she was a spirit, took him from me, and literally she would terrify me. Like, I would see her if I opened a closet, or she would, like, make noises downstairs. My second most was in a graveyard in St. Augustine, where a little boy was talking to me, and I realized that he was a spirit, and I seen his gravestone next to him on how he passed, and it just broke my heart.
Wow. First, I'd like to say I'm very sorry for the loss of your son, Anthony. I know that for any parent to lose a child is a wound that never heals, and very traumatic, and I'm very sorry to hear of his passing.
Thank you.
And another thing that really intrigued me is I like that story that you had posted on Facebook about when you were 3 years old and your father walked into your room, and he walked into the room seeing you peeling off the wallpaper off the wall. I thought that was a pretty incredible story.
Yeah, I was peeling the wallpaper off the wall, and my dad was like, "What are you doing?" You know? And I said, "Dad, I gotta know where they come from. All I know is they were coming through there. I wanted to find the door."
Right.
And that's when he kind of grabbed me by the hand, and my grandmother had lived kitty corner from us, and she just set me up on her top step and said, "She's like, you fix it." You know, we don't know what to do.
Right, and then there also you had mentioned too that when you were hospitalized for bronchitis with the high fever, that you were talking to the people there, that you were you told a person that you lived on a tobacco plantation in South Carolina and you had 5 kids.
Yep, and I told them the house was yellow. The names of my children. My name was Elizabeth. And I was having breathing problems when I was young.
Right.
And so my mom was there, and I said, "I'm dying." And she said, "Of what?" And I sat right up and looked at her and said, "Tuberculosis." So I think that pulled over a past life memory.
Right. And
I think that affected me from that. That was what the effect of that was.
Absolutely, and I know that you've been a practicing psychic medium for 25 years. That's a long time. I mean, you were actually born with a gift, which is wonderful. And I wanted to ask you: have any of your do you have children, and do any of your children share the very rare and unique gift that you have?
I have one biological daughter, and I have 4 stepdaughters. My biological daughter, she does have the gift that I have. She fights it, though, which I understand. Not everybody wants it. My 14-year-old stepdaughter does talk to spirit, and she's an amazing healer. We took her into Reiki when she was 7 years old. She's a powerhouse.
Wow. That's amazing. Could you kind of maybe explain to our listeners and even myself what is a FairyWing reading? Could you kind of elaborate on that for us?
FairyWing is the business name that I use.
Okay.
So I give different times. Like if you got an hour, I start off with tarot, and I always let them know the first spread's going to give me like where you're at, where you're going, where things have been, where they're going to be, how people see you, how you see yourself, and then I'll allow them to go into deeper questions. A lot of people want to know about finances or love or jobs, but right in the middle of that, everything can stop, and their mom can show up, and then suddenly these cards mean nothing, and now I'm doing the reading between spirits, letting them know their mother's here, how the mother passed away, certain things that I would never have been able to know. And that's the part that I love, when I see people go, "Oh my God, there's no way you would ever know this," and I love it. It kind of gives me like a good feeling to know that it's helping them.
Right.
I want them to know that there's life after death. Death is just another stage.
And let me ask you questions. As far as what is your view on life after death? What do you think it is?
I believe that we pass out of this body that we've been in, and we go into an energy state where we no longer feel the pain and anger and sadness. We still watch over our families. I've known from looking at spirit, we don't look exactly like we look here. It looks more cartoonish. I guess, in a way, like the teachers. I believe we do a lot of research over there since we've been here to learn, we do a lot of research over there on what we could have done better. That's why we keep coming back and coming back and coming back.
Yeah, that makes total sense, and I like how you explained it in sort of a cartoonish kind of a way. I think that's a neat perspective on doing that. I think you're the first person that has said that, and I think again that makes total sense to me.
Oh, good. I think a lot of people think, Uncle Joe still looks like Uncle Joe, but Uncle Joe don't look nothing like Uncle Joe. But they know who they are, and they know who they are to us. And I believe that we have a band that goes with us through time, a tribe.
Right, that makes total sense. And another thing that I wanted to ask you, because there's a few people that have encountered that, and everybody has a different perspective or a different take on it. Have you found with other maybe psychics, other mediums, that there's a lot of competition, and there's people that are not working with spirit in the correct way, where there's just a lot of animosity? And I mean, I personally don't get this competition, the negativity that in some circles with various psychics and mediums.
I absolutely have come across people that were very competitive, and to me, I think it takes away from your gift of what you're doing. I don't understand the competitiveness either, or wishing bad on someone because they have the same gift you do.
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of people that's in this for the wrong reasons, and we got into the world of paranormal research to help people, and so by default we was invited to do a lot of things through that, but there's a lot of people that hate us because they view us as competition.
Right. And to me, I just feel that there's so many people out there that have maybe lost their way, that need help. There's never going to be a shortage of people that are seeking answers. So, why can't we all work together and not? I mean, there's enough negativity in the world already, with the news and everything. I mean, it just defeats the purpose to just kind of be so competitive that I don't really understand it myself.
I've had people ask me, why do you charge money to do readings? I don't think I charge like ridiculous amounts of money, but I too deserve to be paid for my time.
Right, and plus what it does is, a lot of people don't realize this, but let's take it in the context of a preacher. A preacher gets paid a salary. He gets paid a salary so that he can go and visit people at the hospital. He can marry people. He can devote his time to what he's doing for the church. You have a gift. You have a skill. You have a service that you're offering to people, and so that you can focus on that service and your talent, you should be compensated so that you can maintain 100% focus into what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think when you put the money word on there, there's the competition.
Oh yeah, and there's the competition, and it's a big world, and there's people out there. I mean, we know one person that had invited us to do her podcast show, and because we did a Daiquiri Stoker and J.D. Barker interview before she did, she got butthurt about it, felt that we were competitive, and she didn't want us on the show. So she disinvited us to the show because she sees us as competition. It's a big world. We've been doing this for over 10 years, and I can tell you that we support other people who do what you're doing, what we're doing, and it should be a community of supportive people instead of a community of competitive people.
I 100% agree with you, and like I said, I'll help people, especially children and teens. I don't charge for that. I don't charge to do healings on people. I call it donations.
Right.
So in ways I give back, but when I'm going to sit down with you and do a reading, I've devoted that entire, however long you paid for, to you.
Well, that makes.
If someone ever, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
And say, like, if someone at the end of it said, you know what, you didn't hit on anything at all, you suck, I'd give it right back to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like anything, too. I mean, we do paranormal research as well. And, I mean, we've met awesome people like Bodhi Paranormal that are, a starting up team, but they were so sincere. And I mean, we're paranormal researchers ourselves, but I mean, we have paranormal researchers on our show because we only think that if we could all work together, it's just more of a positive benefit because we're all searching for answers, whether it be about a loved one or about the paranormal. We're all on our own journey. We're just at different stages of the journey. So why not help each other out?
Exactly. I've always been interested in paranormal research. You guys fascinate me. I love it.
Well, you know what? It's just like you said, and I've used the same terminology myself. It's a gift and a curse because Timothy is a demonologist, so he's taken classes through different dioceses in regards to demonology. I'm an empath, so we kind of have to, we've met up with a lot of negative entities as well. So, I mean, if we can share something that we've encountered with somebody, why not? I mean, what's the big conspiracy about sharing knowledge?
Right.
And a lot of people, it's unfortunate that they're not on that same kind of positive wavelength. I just like to share other people's gifts and ability with the world because I think the world, whether they want to take it or not, that's up to them. But if we find somebody like yourself that is worthy to be on our show or I get a good positive vibe from, why not?
Thank you for that.
I mean, when I started to, when I seen you on Twitter, I thought, I had such a good positive vibe, and I figured, this chick's the real deal here.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And just think how much more and how many more people we could help if we all joined together.
Exactly. We'd like to get to know our guests, and before we get more back onto that subject right there, what I'd like to do is kind of let the audience get to know you a little bit, and what your childhood may have been like as far as, did you ever grow up like watching horror films or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I watched horror films. My aunts and I, we used to love to watch Friday the 13th and Halloween. And the only one that ever scared me real bad was It.
yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Wow. What was so that would be your favorite horror movie probably, was It?
No, that's my least. But probably my most favorite ones were Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay. What about as a kid, did you ever go trick-or-treating?
I did.
What was your favorite Halloween costume?
My favorite Halloween costume was a gypsy.
Wow, that I bet you made an awesome gypsy, and you were able to. The thing is, you were probably able to tell real fortunes.
Right, exactly, and I did that when I would go out, and people would be like, "Oh, she's so cute," and I'd be like, really, giving them messages. And to this day, when I do Halloween parties and stuff, it's still my favorite. Of course, now it's a more elaborate gypsy than when I was like 5, but
right. That's awesome. So I really sort of now I want to get into what do you feel, what's your favorite, or do you have a favorite tarot deck that you like to use?
Yes, my very favorite is Wider Rate, and it's the vibrant one.
Right.
I have probably 30 tarot decks, but that's the one I go to for every reading.
Right. So it's almost like, I mean, you have a profession, or you have something that you're good at, so you're going to go to the tool. I'm going to use that in a literal sense. This is the tool that feels the most comfortable in your hand. I mean, I read tarot, but not professionally, and like I have the Hermetic tarot deck. I'm into the Hermetic code and all that kind of stuff. So we're all drawn to something that inspires us and that spirit can work through.
Yeah, and I feel like my cards are extensions of my hand.
That's the way they should be, because, I mean, a card is basically, if you want to just dissect it in literal terms, is a wonderful portrait or a picture, depending on what deck you have. But a true reader, or a true person that has a gift, like you said, it becomes an extension of your hand, an extension of your own spiritual aura. And when we're talking about auras too, I know some people, are you able to, there's some people that can read auras. Are you able to kind of read auras as well?
I don't really see auras around people, but what I can do is, you put me in a crowd of people and I can tell good from bad. Like, I can tell someone who's very negative, someone who's very positive. I have a nephew who cracks up. We'll be in the grocery store, and I'll walk by somebody and, like, shudder, and he'll be like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, no good. They're just no good.
Right.
But I don't see auras. The only time I ever do is, we have a church down here called Casadega Spiritualist Church.
Right.
And when the healers are up healing, I do see white light around them.
Right, that's pretty interesting too. And I like how you mentioned that for me, myself, being an empath, I find it hard to be in crowded places to begin with, because the energies, the emotion, what this person has on their plate today, it can become so overwhelming. It's almost like unless you have your spiritual armor on, it's just you're being constantly torpedoed with their negative or whatever kind of energy is being exuded from their force there.
Yeah. And my 14-year-old daughter, she is an empath as well, and you know, how do you really get them to understand? She's starting to. It's, you know, I keep telling her it's not you, it's them, because she'll take on their emotions.
Yes.
She'll take on that nastiness, and she wants them just to be happy. So I'm working with her on blocks and, you know, clearing her way through things.
Right, because I mean, I know even if you're a psychic or a medium, or even in a lot of incidences, for me, being an empath, a lot of people have made the comment, well, you know, I seem unfriendly, or I seem like I don't want to talk, but they're not understanding that sometimes it gets hard to, unless you know how to block people, you know, protect yourself, it can be so overwhelming that you almost physically and mentally kind of need to shut down or put your brain motor on idle for a while.
Right, exactly.
What do you personally do? Because I know everybody, even as paranormal researchers, before we go into, because we've been in a lot of demonic locations, a lot of locations where there's been horrific death and a lot of residual energy. What do you personally find effective for you to kind of start your day before you do a reading, to ground yourself and to really get into the zone?
Every morning when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I picture the rainbow coming in through my crown chakra and then coming out at the chakra levels of the colors. And then I picture them as they spin. And that's just to get out of bed. If I know I'm going into a situation that's going to be extremely hard, I have physically covered my solar plexus with, like, plastic wrap. A lot lot of times I catch myself sitting there with my arms over my solar plexus, just to kind of slow the energy down.
What is, when you're talking about even protection too, because we use sage and various concoctions of Florida water, and what we do. Do you find sage as well beneficial?
I do find sage beneficial. Also, sweetgrass and resin of dragon's blood.
Right. I've used dragon's blood before as well, and. What about, because you're in Florida, and I'm not that it means, I mean, the Florida water, but have you ever tried Florida water or anything to do with any kind of infusions or anything like that?
Every 3 months I clean my entire house with Florida water from top to bottom. Wow.
So you do... Clear the energy. Do you make your own Florida water?
Nope. I have a friend that does make her own, and she gives me a good bulk price. But every 3 months I go through and clear everything. Because I do have people that come in, and I've had spirits that hang around. No matter, I have one story I would love to tell you.
Go ahead.
A friend, I was working at a place, and people were coming in randomly. And the first lady I read, I could tell her brother had gotten shot. Well, the next lady I read was his widow.
Ooh.
And she, he gave so much information. And then her time was up. She had to go. For 6 weeks, his spirit came to me and would say, Tracy, tell Ann about Mike. Tell Ann about Mike. Tell Ann about Mike. His best friend Mike had accidentally shot him.
Ooh.
And so finally I got a hold of her. I had to dig to find her. I got a hold of her and I said, Ann, Chris keeps coming to me and saying, you've got to go talk to Mike. And she called me back and she said, Tracy, he was sitting there with a gun in his lap, ready to take his own life.
Wow, that's pretty, wow.
To me, that was amazing.
Well,
and he was not going to let it go.
And I'm glad he didn't, and I'm glad actually, because I mean, he and you saved a life.
Yes.
I mean,
well, he did. I was just the voice.
You were the voice, but I mean, I'm glad a lot of other people, I mean, I can't talk for other people, but a lot of other people may have tried to block this individual from being so persistent because they didn't have time or whatever was going on. But I think that's absolutely amazing, and kudos for you for going the extra mile and delivering that message that in the end, with the result, saved a life.
Thank you.
So, I got some more questions for you. As far as your child, going back to your childhood again, I asked kind of the less serious questions, I guess, but the Halloween candy. What was your favorite Halloween candy?
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat. Okay, we'd like to ask that of all of our guests, so I'm glad that we got that one out the way there. But I like Kit Kat too. So Alexandria's a big candy corn fan. But the with your psychic abilities being what they are, do you currently have any negative energy that's around you today?
Not today, right to now, but and I know I make it myself, so I understand that enough. If I get really out of whack emotionally, I make negative energies. Does this make sense?
Well, it's just like that's your output is negative energy. Like you're almost like your emotions or your psyche is almost like a turbine or almost like a tornado, and then the output can be negative energy.
Right. My husband is a Gnostic priest, so he keeps us pretty well protected.
Right. You said your husband's a priest, right?
Correct.
what is the, so your husband, because I know a lot of denominations of priests are not willingly or not openly accepted of people that have gifts or not wanting to, it's just almost like, because I know my parents were Roman Catholic and they were not really acceptive of things to do with like paranormal research or psychic abilities. It can be almost like a battle of good and evil that they're not able to kind of intermingle.
Yeah, we don't have that problem because he is a Gnostic priest,
right,
and he works with the Church of Saints, the Ruffians. He does magic as well. He's an alchemist. He's a healer. He's a powerhouse for clearing. Loves taking with me when I do clearing.
Hold on, let me ask you this question while I got his wife on the phone then, Tracy.
Yeah.
I'd be interested, because I'm a preacher in the Judeo-Christian faith, but I would like to, we was talking about having an alchemist on one of our upcoming shows. We'd love to have your husband as a guest if he'd be interested.
Oh, he definitely would be interested.
Well, that'd be great. We'll get in touch with you after this show and see when we can make that happen.
Because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people of the Gnostic faith did believe in magic. I mean, that was just that kind of went hand in hand.
Correct.
And I think that's absolutely fascinating. And I know Timothy would have a lot of questions as well. And I mean, I have a passion with alchemy. Both of us are published authors, and I did a book not even maybe a month ago on Thoth. And, you know, Thoth is what I consider Thoth is the greatest alchemist that ever lived. And I just find alchemy, the subject in itself, just to be totally fascinating.
Yeah, I love alchemy too. I don't make things, but I have been healed by alchemists. There's one out there, his name is Phoenix. And we went through a list of things that I had going on, and within 1 month, they weren't going on anymore. And I was taking his tinctures and his Nigerian.
Wow, that's amazing. So, you know, what it seems like to me and my perceptions and what I picked up from you actually far exceeded, and it just seems like you're such a gifted individual, truly gifted, and then you're able to have a partner in life that has gifts of another sort, but you're able to complement each other. And a lot of times that can be very hard in a relationship, is to complement each other and let everybody kind of savor or actually nurture their own gifts.
One of the stories I tell about why I got with him, I had been married once before, and, you know, the husband before would call me a witch and burn my tools and just tortured, like, bad things, bad stuff.
Right.
And when I met Mark, he said, "What are you?" And I was afraid to tell him. And he said, "No, what are you?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm a medium, and I'm psychic." And he said, "Well, let's grow this." And he opened up so much for me.
That's amazing. And I mean, he just actually sort of allowed you kind of to bloom and come into yourself. And really, again, your gift is just like a garden where you planted a seed, but you still have to have rain and sunshine to be able to allow that gift to bloom into the beautiful flower that you are today.
Absolutely.
And I think that's absolutely amazing. And I know that you said that you are a Reiki master as well. How beneficial do you find Reiki to be to people? Because a lot of people still, Reiki might be uncharted, unknown territory to a lot of listeners, or maybe not familiar with the term Reiki.
Reiki is a system that was founded by Dr. Usuri, and there is a story that I don't know completely, but basically he climbed up a mountain and he healed himself the whole way. And what it is it's working with the person's energy. When we're off energetically, we're off physically. So Reiki, to me, is very beneficial to kind of clear your aura, to cleanse your energies. And really, I've seen miracles. You know what I mean? I know everybody says that. It sounds so cliche. But people that had cluster headaches, they don't have them anymore. People who are constantly stressed right in the shoulders and neck area. I have a client that I'm also teaching her Reiki. But that's how we got to know each other. I would do that, and it would literally untie all those knots for her. And I never put my hands on her. That was all energy doing it.
Yeah, because I know, I mean, I've heard the term Reiki before, but not as much as, like if people watch even, for example, the Dead Files, it seems every episode Amy Allen mentions you need to get a Reiki Master. And I said to my husband one day, like, you know, because I've never done Reiki, and I felt like saying it seems like that's the new go-to for a lot of people in regards to paranormal activity now.
Right, and Reiki Masters can do clearings of items and homes and people. And the most important is to clear the people.
Yeah,
you know, on that show, they've been kind of inundated with negativity. They need to be cleared.
You know, the bad thing is that in today's day and world, there is Universal Life Ministries, which for a small fee, you can pay, and they'll qualify you as a Reiki Master once you make the payment, and they'll send you all the tools and guides, and we try to differentiate those people from the people that's been doing it previous to the Dead Files ever being on air, because I've never heard myself a Reiki Master until I heard Amy Allen mention it, and you know, there is a lot of people out there that go to Universal Life Ministries. They'll become a Reiki Master, and they can legitimately tell everybody that they're a Reiki Master, and it makes true Reiki Masters look bad.
And it makes us very angry.
Just like,
because we've done a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
I'm 7th generation Dr. Usui. I'm 7th generation under him. I did the work. I did the meditations, the prayers, and I was attuned by my teachers. You cannot be a Reiki Master if you're not attuned by your master.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate, because, like I say, and this is the same place that ordains ministers. Yeah, and all you do is go to their website. You can get an ordination. I can't even say the word, but you can get ordained through their website, and you can be a Reiki Master. You can be a Wiccan priestess. You could whatever you want to be legally. But I have some questions, like for those people that are listening that may be wanting to get your services. How can they obtain your services?
Right now, I have Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook page that has all my information. Also, I can give my number out if it's okay with you guys over the phone.
absolutely, as long as it's cool with you.
It's cool with me. Just leave me a message and I'll call back. My phone number is 386-337-0536.
That's awesome. So,
and I can be found on Facebook under Traci Psychic Medium, Traci with an I. Twitter is at Medium Traci, and Instagram is Readings by the Gypsy Witch.
that's amazing. So, you know, anybody that I know of, I'm going to push them your way, because like I said, you know, we really like to have people on our shows that are the real deal, and we like to support them, because you certainly are the real deal. And you know, it's really refreshing to meet somebody that is so open, and I can just hear the enthusiasm in your voice. And it seems like to me you wake up every day just like a robin that's, you know, chippering on a branch there, that I think you in itself, that is just, you inspire everybody around you with your positivity. And I think, I mean, it's just, we appreciate that.
I try. Also, if anybody mentions hearing me on the show, I'll get a $10 discount for whatever reading that they choose.
That's awesome.
And what we'll do is we'll link your pages up to our podcast show in the description.
Awesome.
So I would definitely, if you could talk to your husband about joining us as a future guest for an alchemy subject, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. I know he will be jumping for joy.
And what we'll do is whenever we wrap it up, we'll send you all the appropriate links, and we'd like to thank you for joining the show today.
And I want to thank you for having me.
We, like I said, we just really, like I said, to have guests like you that are the real deal, it just sets our show apart from everybody else, and you far exceeded the par that is set for other psychics and mediums, and your authenticity really shows and it shines through, and you're a real credit to the gift of spirit, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You have a good day. Thank you again.
You too. Be blessed.
You too. Thanks, Traci.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was Traci Dicaprio, and you'll get a $10 discount from any one of her services if you mention hearing her on the show, which is a great deal, actually.
Traci Dicaprio, like I said, highly recommend her as a professional psychic medium, also a Reiki Master, and her reading, or what she offers, is FairyWing Readings. And again, I'll give her phone number out again. She said it herself. If you'd like to reach Traci, 386-337-0536. Of course, we'll be doing all the links and how to locate Traci in the body of this podcast as well in the description.
I know a lot of people listen to the show, but if you actually watch your screen, right in this section right here, I'll have the number on the screen as well as some of her other things written on the screen here. She's got a
nice, wonderful business card that has all the communication ways to reach her for readings, etc. And what a breath of fresh air, I can tell you that.
So with that being said, I think that's about it for us, right?
And I think it's going to be exciting that in the future that her husband is a Gnostic priest, that he'll be joining us. I know you'll have a lot of questions for this specific guest.
Well, it would be if we were going to do a religious debate. I've always been interested in the Gnostic side of religion, and even in Judaism they have the mystics. But what I would say is that on alchemy is a subject that we will be dealing with, so it won't be a religious debate. I'll probably ask a couple of religious questions, but what I would do is just focus on the alchemy deal, because that's where we were headed anyway, and it just so happens that her husband is a alchemist, so that's pretty awesome. Works out good for us, actually.
I know I'll have a lot of questions because I have a passion for alchemy, and I did write the book Thoth, the Greatest Alchemist That Ever Lived as well.
So yeah, that's the Thoth book. It's on Amazon. You can go in there and buy it on Amazon. If you buy it, leave a review for the book.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that are buying our books, but they're forgetting to leave a review. Reviews are very important, folks. Just like when we ask you, we have our podcasts up. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you like the guest, you like the show.
Our books are selling like McDonald's French fries, so go in there and leave a review. And that'll be it for today.
Take care.
Thank you again to Traci Dicaprio for joining us.